Basketball fans, we are back with a new episode here. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Shot Clock Scribbles, and it's Thursday, April 4th, around 1 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. It has been raining a little bit here in Sacramento. That is the full spring. Big news coming out of Sacramento today is the Oakland A's are moving to Sacramento next season for, I believe, 2 or 3 seasons. All right. Let me tell you, we've got some sizzling content lined up for you today. First off, we'll be diving into the hottest topics around the league, including some breaking news fresh out of New York today. Plus, we'll cover players of the week, players of the month, coaches of the month, and rookies of the month in both conferences, respectively. But wait, there is more. We can't forget about the doubleheader in the women's college game that had many of us in our seats Monday night. Viewership numbers are in, and you don't want to miss these numbers. And speaking of action-packed nights, I'll be sharing my recent experiences catching the Sacramento Kings at the G1 Center against the Dallas and Clippers. Stay tuned as we dissect the Kings' remaining schedule and predict how they'll stack up in the final stretch of this season. Oh, and don't think we forgot about the Stockton Kings in the 209. Fresh off of having the best record in the G League and having Coach of the Year accolades. Make sure to tap in at the end with a few thoughts on my end about the game I went to last week against the Santa Cruz Warriors. And here's a little surprise for all you loyal listeners out there. Stick around until the very end of the episode for a special treat just for you. Yes, just for you. Whether you're listening to this on your walk or at the grocery store, going to the bank, or you're at work, let's dive into some hoops talk. Let's dive into hot topics on the league. Coming out of New York today, here is a press release from the NBA. Quote, New York Knicks forward Julius Randle will have season-ending surgery on his right shoulder, the team announced on Thursday. Randle has been sidelined since dislocating his shoulder on January 27 in the Knicks' win over the Heat. He was rehabbing the shoulder in hopes of avoiding surgery and returning in time for the postseason. But that timeline did not work out. After the upcoming surgery, Randle is slated to be re-evaluated in 5 months. The 5th-seeded Knicks, 44-31, continue to press forward toward the playoff despite substantial injury holes in their lineup. In addition to Randle, midseason pickup OG Anunoby remains out with an injured right elbow. New York Knicks received a boost on March 27th when center Mitchell Robinson returned to the court after a 50-game absence due to a left ankle injury. Randle, a 2024 All-Star, averaged 24 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 5 assists over 46 games this season. Close quote. So the Knicks are in a tough position right now. They're in the 5th place in the East. As of today, they would be playing against the Orlando Magic. But you know what? Brunson has been holding his own the last couple months here with him being out. This just means that other players are going to have to step up, and the Knicks were good at the trade deadline, adding Bojan Bogdanovic. They also added in OG Anunoby, who has been out. They're going to really need other guys to step up for them, especially players like Precious Achiuwa. Josh Hart has been playing heavy minutes. DiVincenzo as well. DiVincenzo playing his best ball that he has ever played in his career with the New York Knicks. Players like Miles McBride, who they essentially betted on with the R.G. Barrett trade. Other guys are just going to have to step up here in his absence. And you made a good decision at the trade deadline, picking up the players that you did. And also, in addition to another player as well, in Alec Burks, who knows the system of Tim Thibodeau. It's going to be a lot moving forward. Brunson is basically carrying the Knicks right now, and he's going to have to do a lot more if the Knicks want to go far. Because right now, if they're playing against the Orlando Magic in a 7-game series, I see the Magic probably winning that one 4-1. Knicks will probably get 1 game. They'll be playing away, the Knicks will, in this scenario here. Next, I wanted us to speak about the NBA MVP straw poll. The final results are in, and I'll be reading out the top 10 players that were voted in for MVP this season. We'll also talk about total votes and the total points that these players received. I'll start off from 10, then I'll go all the way to the top to number 1. Starting off with number 10, Jaylen Brown out of Boston received 1 vote for 1 total point. Domantas Sabonis here in Sacramento earned 3 total votes for 3 points. Number 8, Kawhi Leonard, who we'll be speaking about later, had 4 votes voted in. Anthony Edwards out of Minnesota, 11 total votes, 27 total points. Jalen Brunson received 24 votes for 40 points. Jason Tatum, 69 total votes, 119. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 92 votes, 334 total points. Luka Magic out of Dallas, 96 votes, 493 total points. SGA out in OKC, 100 votes, 626 total votes. And the number one shouldn't amaze any of you guys or surprise any of you guys. The Joker, Nikola Jokic, 100 votes, total points, 953. So the Joker in a clear winning position to win his third MVP award. Luka has picked it up this year and has looked great and healthy. More on him a little bit later. Brunson has been rallying the Knicks. Sabonis in the 9th position gets 1 vote from Brian Windhorst. He did mention this on his podcast recently. That is the votes. And essentially, what's going to happen here is the Joker is going to win MVP. So let's just be honest. There's going to be haters about that. People are going to love that. That is what it is. And he's a sensational player, and he continues to dominate. So he deserves it. I did predict Giannis and did have my vote for Giannis to win it. And as of right now, I always keep my pick. But SGA is a very close second as time goes by here because he's just doing amazing things for a guard in the league right now. Next, I wanted us to shift and talk about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid made his return a few nights ago as Philly hosted the Thunder without J-Dub and SGA. So that was a throwaway game for them. And the Sixers pick up a crucial win here towards the end of the season with about 7 games left. I said it before on the pod that any JoJo is better than no JoJo at all. And they play the Heat today, Thursday. They can coast their way into the last few games of the season. Using these final minutes before the real thing starts, I think is going to be good for Embiid. Nothing is ever better than game action and doing everything live and getting banged on live in real games instead of practice, for example. Towards the end of the season, not a lot of teams practice because they want to definitely save that energy for the big important games in the playoffs. If you're Philly right now, you want to try to avoid the play-in as much as possible for your team and also for JoJo, because more minutes for Joel, no bueno. You need him to rest up and get in as much treatments as he needs moving forward going into the playoffs. I watched a little bit of the game. From what I saw, he looked comfortable out there. He played 29 minutes in this ball game. And let's see how the 76ers handle him on a back-to-back. The remaining schedule: Heat today, Grizzlies on the 6th, Spurs, Pistons, Magic, and the Nets. I believe the Sixers are going to go 4 out of 6 in those ones, dropping to the Magic and dropping to the Heat tonight. Switching gears now, I wanted for us to speak about Kawhi Leonard. He's missed the last few games, and it does seem like it is worrying the head coach, Ty Lue, out in Los Angeles. I was there for the game a couple nights ago, and Kawhi was listed as out, which sucked, but it is what it is. I think his knee is starting to bother him now towards the end of the season. I could see the Clippers using the last few games for the season, resting Kawhi, and I don't know if you get some kind of exception from Adam Silver here, because you need Kawhi to be healthy once the playoffs start. From going to other games this season, the only game I saw him here in Sacramento the other time is he looked really great out there. I did say that he's looked the best since his injury towards the end of the season. Now he's starting to get irritated by that knee, which is the same one that he got surgery on, I believe. So a quote from The Athletic here, quote, "The Clippers deactivated all-star forward Kawhi Leonard due to what the team called right knee sources," closed quote, via The Athletic. Kawhi has had a really good season this year. He is averaging 23, 6, and 3 on 62% true shooting percentage. It's really worrisome because I think that the 65-game policy is something to blame for this, because is he going harder because of that policy that you guys had in rule for him? If maybe he rested a couple games this season, would he have right knee soreness? But let's take a look at the Clippers schedule, they have only one back-to-back left, the Nuggets tonight, and then the Jazz again tomorrow. This is what their schedule looks like in their next 6 games. Nuggets, Jazz, Cavs, Suns again, and then the Jazz. My prediction is they'll go 500. In those games, they'll lose to the Nuggets tonight, win against the Jazz, win against the Cavs, lose the baseball series against the Suns, and then beat the Jazz again. They're going to end the season at a 500 mark for the last 6 games. Lose 3, win 3. We're going to veer off and now talk about accolades that were recently recognized in the association this week starting on Monday. First, we're going to discuss players of the week, then players of the month, then rookies of the month, and then we'll end it with coaches of the month in the West and the East. So let's go ahead and speak about players of the week. On the West Coast, we had Luka go 4-0 with his team. He averaged 32.5 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 9.5 assists. So close to a triple-double there by a half percentage point. And Luka has played great. Those are solid wins against the Kings, 2 to be exact, on the baseball series. More on this a little bit later in the pod. And against a red-hot Houston Rockets team that were on an 11-game winning streak. They're solidifying themselves to be out of the play-in, and you definitely want to be out of that play-in as much as you can. And as of today, they'll be up against the Clippers, who will not be hoping for that matchup because 77 lights them up like Book does with Nola. Let's take a look at Luka's career average against the Clippers here. He has averaged 32, 8, and 7 in 18 games versus the Clippers in his career. So the Clippers will not be hoping for that matchup, especially having Kawhi out, their best player. Luka, his defense has gotten better. He looks better and a lot more leaner and healthier. He really used the offseason to make some changes. It's showing. And he makes it look very easy out there. More on him a little bit later. The other player of the week in this week 23 accolade was DeJounte Murray out in the ATL. He helped his team to a 3-1 record during that stretch. He averaged 28, 5, and 10. Great numbers there for DeJounte. He has had a good stretch of games, especially having Trey out. He's helped his team pick up crucial wins, and it looks like they are going to make the playoffs. I don't think the Nets are going to catch them the last couple of games of the season. That's just my prediction. I think they'll be safe for the play-in. Trey is coming back soon. He had a timetable of coming back on the 1st, and that was 3 days ago. I think he is closer to a return. Other wins last week included Portland, C's, and beat the Hornets before that in the previous week. DJ's played really good against the Celtics, and he had a game-winning shot the other night. He's had 3 game winners this season, 1 against the Celtics most recently, 1 against the Magic, and the other against the Heat. He deserves this. He's been playing amazing ball on both sides of the ball. DeJounte is a two-way player. He can play defense as well. Moving on now, let's speak about players of the month. Shouldn't surprise anybody. Again, we have Luka in this stretch. Helped his team to 11-4 record with averages of 32, 10, and 10. He averaged a triple-double in the month of March, which is just fucking insane. He's a truly sensational player, and he's got eyes in the back of his head. I swear to God. That guy is magic for sure. On the East, Jalen Brunson helping his team to a 9-5 record. He averaged 28, 5, and shot the ball at almost a 50% clip during that stretch from the field. We're going to speak about Rookie of the Month award in the month of March. On the West side, Victor Wembanyama averaged 23, 11, and 3. On the East, we had Brandon Miller. He averaged 18, 5, and 2. Victor and Brendan, Rookies of the Month. Wemby having a good stretch of the last couple games of the season here. Picked up some nice wins. He has gotten into Defensive Player of the Year conversations. He's not going to win it, but he's been getting a considerable mention. But we all know Rudy Gobert is going to win that award. Brendan Miller, I like this kid, man. He has a lot of upside and is not afraid of a good challenge. He has a great potential, especially with a healthy LaMelo next year, in addition to some of the pieces that you already have. as they are in this rebuilding phase. I'm excited to watch him moving forward, if I'm being completely honest. Next, Coaches of the Month awards. On the West, we had Ime Udoka helping his team to a 13-2 record in the stretch of March. On the East, we had Joe Mazzulla out of the Boston Celtics helping his team to a 12-4 record during that stretch in March. Switching gears now, I wanted for us to speak about Victor Wembanyama and D'Angelo Russell in LA. First, we'll start with Wemby here. I saw a quick little stat that I thought would be interesting to share. He joins elite company with Tim Duncan and David Robinson. So David Robinson at the age of 24 averaged 24, 12, and 3. So when I say this, I'm talking about points, rebounds, and blocks for all of this. Tim Duncan at age 21 averaged 21, 11, and 2.5. And Victor right now at the age of 20, guys, is averaging 21, 10.5, and 3 blocks this season. He joins elite company, bright future. Like I've said before, they're going to have to build around him. Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, Vessel, Trey Jones. If you could pick up guys that are a tier above Sohan and Trey Jones, I think they'll be in a good spot with their core intact. Add in some bench and rotational players, and you should be good. They're going to need to keep Victor happy. Otherwise, he's not going to want to be in San Antonio forever, right? He is a winner. He doesn't like to lose. Love this mentality out of a young guy. Only 20 years old, man. Can't even go to a bar and drink. That's just nuts. Next, D'Angelo Russell joins elite company here, and I saw this, and I was like, whoa, yeah. That is definitely elite company. So D'Angelo joined Steph and Damian Lillard as the only players in NBA history to achieve these marks in one season. And you might be thinking, what are those marks? Here it is. 200 plus three-pointers, 400 plus assists, and 40% shooting from three. That's just absolutely crazy. Only 3 players have gotten this record in NBA history. I do have a question for you guys out there. You guys think that he stays in LA or he gets moved? It sounds like the Magic are a real contender for D'Angelo. I want D'Angelo to stay in LA. He's an amazing player. He's really picked it up after getting benched. That might have been the best thing that ever happened to him because he is playing the best basketball in his career right now. Tap in with your comments below what you think about the Lakers should do with him next season. Next, I wanted for us to speak about the women's basketball game in college hoops. Numbers are in on the viewers, and this is just nuts. The Iowa versus LSU game on Monday night averaged 12.3 million viewers. Let that sink in for one moment. I said 12.3 million viewers. It's the most watched NCAA women's basketball game ever. And in fact, that was actually higher than any MLS, NBA, NHL, and probably a few other sports. That just speaks volume to the women's game having a lot of popularity. And I have never seen current NBA players and former NBA players talk about the women's game like they have right now. So Monday was a legendary night for women's basketball. Let's talk about quick numbers for the 4 heavy hitters. Caitlin Clark had 41 points, 7 rebounds, and 12 assists. Angel Reese, 17 points, 20 rebounds, 3 blocks. Paige Bakers, 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Juju Watkins, 29 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. I was able to tap in and catch both of those games in the doubleheader. Paige and Caitlin Clark play in the final coming up soon here. So Juju and Angel Reese get bounced out, but they put up some good numbers, as just mentioned before there, but it wasn't enough for their respectable teams. I thought Angel was too passive during her game, and I wanted to see her be a little bit more dominant in the post because she's so much bigger than a lot of those girls out there. I wanted her to have more of a dog mentality. She didn't really have that. She put up good numbers, and I understand that, but she won a national championship. She knows what it takes. I think she could have gone a little harder during that game. She put up a good, solid double-double stat line. I also thought that their team turned over the ball way too much in this game. So we'll see her former point guard just declared to enter the portal right now. We'll see where she ends up. On the other side, the Hawkeyes were a better team. Caitlin loves the spotlight, and you can just tell that this is the stage for her. It's business as usual. She had a straight face. She wasn't fucking around, joking around. We don't have a close look at what behind the scenes look like, but baby, when it's game time, she comes out to play and she's confident in her abilities, and you can see that when you're watching these games on the TV or in person. Prices for these games were actually skyrocketed too, which is a worthwhile to note. I think it averaged around $600 or more to see these games in the Final Four. Switching gears now, Juju had a great game. I thought there were times that her team weren't getting her the ball, and credit the Huskies defense in denying her the ball several times and making somebody else beat you. I think that's a good strategy from Gino there, but I think that they needed to get the ball to her a lot more. She's your best player. Get your ball to your best player. You're down by 10. You need to make a quick run. I thought that she needed to get the ball a little bit more, in my honest opinion. Question for you viewers out there and listeners. Who do you guys think are going to win the national championship? Make sure to tap in to the comments below so I know where your head is at. Will it be the Huskies or will it be the Hawkeyes? Should be a solid matchup to close the year out. Women's basketball is evolving, and all these women on that list I mentioned in the beginning are the reason why. Speaking about women's basketball, it's rumored that Steph and Clay will be playing Sabrina and Caitlin. They are reportedly set for a 2v2 3-point contest in 2025 in the Bay Area. If that is true, that would be exciting to watch. Will you guys be tuning in? Let's see if that actually comes into fruition. That's my 2 cents on the women's ball. I wanted to speak about the game that I went to last week on Tuesday, March 26th. That was the first leg of the Kings and Mavericks game. Here's my quick thoughts on this game. The Mavs dominated the Kings from the jump in the first leg. Second leg, they put up a closer fight. I wasn't there for that one. But when fans, especially in the first game, are leaving with a few minutes left in the third quarter, it shows a poor and disappointing show for the fans that came out. People were spending their hard-earned money for these games, and the Kings didn't come out to play, man. It's just as simple as that. They disappointed the fans. There wasn't a lot of cohesion. There wasn't a lot of fight. There wasn't a sense of urgency from the players. It just seemed like they were just kind of out there just wandering around the park, or in this case, the court. Kyrie and Luka were a star of the show. Kyrie is one of the most exciting players to watch in my eyes because he has that triple threat in him. He has a 3-ball, which he shot it very good in this game. He's one of the best mid-range shooters that this game has ever seen, and is probably the best mid-range shooter right now. KD and DeMar are right up there. Also, he can also take it to the hoop. So he's a multifaceted scorer with great dribbling handle, and he did that in this game and just literally put the Kings to sleep. Luka ended up getting a rest towards the end of the game. It was the Kyrie show, and he did not disappoint. Luka was great for his team. He made a lot of great passes and reads out of the double team. He gets double teamed a lot, and he has eyes that nobody has ever seen before in this game. Nikola Jokic is a highly considerable mention to right up there, but he did have a team high 4 turnovers. However, he was great in this game. Also, the Kings got beat way too easily, man. It just seemed like the Mavs wanted it more than the Kings did. They were here for a couple of days. If I'm being honest, the Kings lost their 50-50 balls and lost their matchups respectively, and gave the Mavs an open run ticket to the hoop way too many times. Their top 3 guys off the bench only accounted for 19 points. They didn't really get that help that the starting unit usually gets from the second unit. It just seemed, again, they were just disinterested in the game. By now, you guys all know that Malik Monk is out 4 to 6 weeks. He did get injured in the next baseball series game on Friday against the Mavs when Luka drove it to the hoop and hit his knee. That is a crucial piece that the Kings will be missing in their next couple of games, and really puts the season at jeopardy because they have the 4th toughest schedule with their stretch of games. They play in New York in a couple hours here. They could have definitely used a player like Malik to get them over the hump. Stats from this game that definitely stand out to me is Mavericks outscored the Kings in the fast break category, 18-8. They were looking to push the pace a lot more and get easy buckets at the rim, which the Kings are not good at protecting the basket, and they need to get an upgrade from JaVale McGee and Alex Len in that position. Mavs shot the three ball better from three and from the field. Mavs also had 10 steals during this game. They had active hands all around. Stat leaders for this game: Luka with 28 points, De'Aaron Fox with 18, rebounds, PJ Washington with 13, Domas with 11, assists, Domas, Kyrie Irving 8, blocks, 2 each for Sabonis and Derek Lively here. As we move on to the box score, Kyrie Irving, we just talked about him. He had 24 points in this game. He shot at a 52% clip from the field and was 44% from the three. PJ Washington was really good in this game, and he shot the three ball at a nice clip at 66% during this game. So overall, good three-point shooting from the Mavs, including Tim Hardaway going 4 out of 6 from the tray ball. He had 22 points, which definitely helped their second unit. Daniel Gafford is another player that continues to help the Mavericks at the center position. He gets a lot of baskets at the rim and a lot of dunks. He had 71% from the field here. He went 5 out of 7. Moving on now to the Kings box score. Keegan Murray had 17 points. He was 2 out of 6 from 3, so didn't shoot the ball very good from 3. From the field, he shot the ball at a 54% clip. Sabonis had 12 points, and there's a lot of times that Sabonis gets left open and he still doesn't shoot it, which he needs to be a little bit more aggressive. I thought that he has this season taken it to the hoop, but when he gets open for those jump shots at the elbow especially, and those threes, he needs to shoot it. Don't have any hesitancy. Look at Davion Mitchell as case in point. Keon Ellis had 10 points. He's helping the Kings with their starting unit since Kevin Huerter is out for this season. He was 4 to 5 in this game, so 80%, pretty good numbers. De'Aaron Fox, let's talk about D Fox real quick. He didn't have a great game. He was only 6 out of 18 from the field, 33%. He's having to work on both sides of the ball. He got a lot of fouls in this game too. I don't know how many fouls he had to be exact, but he swiped at Luka a couple times. Obviously, defensive prowess. He loves to play defense, but not a good shooting night for him. He did go 100% from the free throw line, which is good to see. Malik, 10 points in this one. Also struggled to shoot the ball, all for 2 from 3 and 38% from the field. Next, I wanted for us to talk about another Kings game I went to. This was 2 days ago. Kings versus the Los Angeles Clippers on the 2nd, as the Kings beat the Kawhi-less Clippers 109-95. Here's my quick thoughts on the game, and then we'll get to the box score. Kings bench was really star of this game. They were superb. They looked confident. They were sharp for most part of the game. They took care of the rock, did most of the team, and they only had 10 turnovers in this game. So I think they're starting to figure out their rotation, different players at different times in the game, especially with having Huerter out and then also Malik. Ellis's minutes has picked up, same as Davion, who looked confident shooting the three ball. Those guys were actually up against each other for minutes for a good portion of the season. You can really tell that Davion's training in the offseason is starting to come into fruition because he's shooting the three ball more confident this year. He's not hesitating to shoot the rock, and that's definitely what you want to see. The Clippers were decent. They were all right, but not enough on the offensive end, as Kawhi did not play in this game. Without Kawhi, like we talked about earlier, and something about James Harden lately is he's been really in a slump. And Paul George was asked how he can get out of that funk, and he said, "I'm not the coach. Next question." He didn't want to talk about it. Not something that he wants to go down the rabbit hole. You guys, as we remember, it was a tough stretch to begin his Clippers career, did James Harden, and they got rolling after that. But he has really struggled lately. I want to see how he plays in the next couple of games to end the season. Let's look at the box score for Tuesday, April 2nd here for this game, officiated by Scott Foster, John Butler, and Shea Flores in a sellout crowd of 17,832. We'll begin off with the Kings and finish off with the Clippers. The Kings did not shoot the three ball very good at all. In this one, they really struggled. In fact, they only made 12 out of 42, so 28%. They were 42% from the field and shot the ball from the free throw line at a 76% clip, which needs to be better. That's 19 for 25 shots. From the bench, Davion Mitchell really played good in this game. We talked about him not hesitating for his threes, and he played 25 minutes off the bench. He was 50% from the field, and he was amazing for them. He had 14 points. Trey Lyles, another player that really helped the Kings in a game high for the Kings bench, 26 minutes, 54% from the field. He had 15 points. Alex Len was defensive player of the game, and for good reasons. He had 3 blocks and protecting the paint as he should. Played a very good game against Zubac. Zubac did not play good. We'll talk about him in just a moment here. But the King starters, D. Fox did not have a great shooting night. He was 14% from the field, which we're not used to. And he was only 14% from 3. He had 20 points though. Domas Sabonis had 22 points, and he was 47% from the field. Harrison Barnes had 6 points. He struggled to shoot the ball in this one, 2 out of 7. Keegan Murray was a player that really helped the Kings. He had 19 points in about 38 minutes of action, and he was 44% from the field. The Clippers shot the 3-ball at 40%. From the field, they were 40% as well. And from the free throw line, they were better than the Kings at 81%. For their reserves, Russell Westbrook was the best player for the LA Clippers. He was 50% from the field, and he had 20 points. Brendan Boston Jr. was also 50% from the field. He had 9 points. For the starters, James Harden really struggled to shoot the rock in this game, 14% from the field, and he only had 6 points. I don't think we get to see very many times where James Harden scores 6 points, but I have been to a James Harden game before where I think he had less than 10 points when he was with the Nets. It does happen. Norman Powell had 17 points. He really helped the offensive slack without Kawhi and James Harden not playing good. Big Z was 35% from the field. He had 10 points. Paul George was 41% from the field in almost 30 minutes of action. The Kings have the 4th toughest schedule in the association, and we'll talk about their remaining stretch of games for the rest of the season here. We can actually just go at it right now. But their toughest opponents are Boston Celtics, Thunder, Clippers, who they beat yesterday, Pelicans, Knicks, Suns, and their easiest opponents are the Blazers and the Nets. I think the Kings will go 62% for the rest of the season with 7 games left. I think they'll win tonight, lose in Boston tomorrow, win against Brooklyn, win against OKC, lose against the Pels, who they have struggled to play against, and they better not hope to see him in the playoffs. They lose to Phoenix at home, then they win the season closer against the Blazers. As it stands right now with the playing situation, 9 and 10 would be the Warriors and the Lakers, and the winner of that game will be playing the loser of the Pelicans and the Kings as it stands right now. The Timberwolves would play the 8th seed, the winner out of the playing tournament, and then the Clippers would play number 5, Mavericks. Thunder would be playing the Suns, Nuggets would be playing the 7th seed. On the East side, the number 1 team would be playing the 8th seed, the Magic would be playing the Knicks, Cavs would be playing the Heat, Bucks would be playing the 7th seed, and for the playing situation, we have the Bulls and the Hawks in the 9th and 10th position. 7 and 8 is the Pacers and 76ers. If you're going to be in the play-in, you need to win at least 2 straight games in order to actually get into the playoffs. So switching up the action, let's go to the G League. Press release 2 days ago, Coach of the Year, Lindsey Harding has won this award. Here is the press release. Quote, the NBA G League announced today that Stockton Kings head coach Lindsey Harding has been named the 2023-2024 NBA G League Coach of the Year. Harding was selected for the honor by votes from G League coaches and general managers. She is the first head coach in Stockton Kings history to win the annual award and makes history as the first ever woman and woman of color to receive the recognition. In her inaugural season as the head coach of the Stockton Kings, Harding led the team to a best record in the G League this season, going 24-10. Behind Harding, Stockton led the Western Conference, clinching the number 1 overall seed in the program's 3rd playoff appearance in Stockton history. Among league leaders, the Stockton Kings led the NBA G League in 3-point field goal percentage at 38.3%, finished 3rd in field goal percentage, 48.5%, and 7th in assists per game, that is 26.9. Harding will be presented with the Dennis Johnson Trophy during a pregame presentation at the Adventist Health Arena by NBA G League president Sharif Abdul-Rahim before Thursday's semifinal game at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Pretty cool stuff coming out of the 209 here. So excited to see Lindsay win this award, and it just speaks to volume of what she's actually doing with the program and what the Kings are doing in general with their players. You see a lot of guys getting that two-way action. Kobe Jones, Mason Jones, and some of the other players. This is exciting to see. I will be at the game tonight. I will be reporting when I go to the game on my next episode on my thoughts. But I was able to go to last week's game against the Santa Cruz Warriors. That's the affiliate of the Golden State Warriors. I really had a great time at that game. I haven't been to a Stockton Kings game in, it seems like, ages. But since I last went there, the team did some rebranding and it looks good. They changed the name of the arena. I think they upgraded some of the facilities inside. It looks more like an official game than it did before, and I love it. Mason Jones in that one had a triple-double. Shout out to him. Dane Goodwin, another good player. Former NBA player Shabazz Muhammad, the Wolves product. Stanley Johnson, the former Raptors player, who gave it 110%. From watching him play, you can tell that the love of the game has never gone anywhere. He's fighting for loose balls, man. He's getting the crowd hyped and getting into it. It's amazing to watch, and the fans love that. Whenever you see a player give it their all, that gives you optimism and gives you a good feeling. The thing about Stockton, it's only 45 minutes away from Sacramento. The team is winning on the court and also with accolades. They had the best record, as we just talked about, in the G League. If you ever get a chance, slide up to the 209 in Stockton and see a game if you are indeed local. I hope the Stockton Kings win the championship. Thank you to all our listeners for tuning in until the final buzzer. I appreciate every single one of you guys that is listening to this. Your support means everything to me, and I do not take it for granted. Stay tuned for some exciting merch dropping in just a few weeks. Keep an eye on our Instagram page, Shot Clock Scribbles Podcast, for sneak peeks and updates on colorways. There is a highlight that talks about merch. Click on that. Let me know what size you wear, and I can get that to you in no time. Please shoot me a DM if you are indeed interested. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to your audio so you never miss an episode. Until then, this is Tendai, and I'll catch you on the next episode, number 12. Cheers.